Hi, guys. This is Doug Jessup with Family Heritage Stories. With me today, well, everybody knows Mary Crafts, okay? And we also have Ashley Taylor with the Refuge, Utah. And here's the thing that I love to ask people, okay? And I'm going to put you right
Oh,
on the
okay.
spot,
I
Mary.
knew that. How did I know that?
And then there's a follow-up one that's kind of fun, okay? What do you care about?
Ah, I care about all human beings and that we are on the direction and the pathway to oneness. I care about that more than anything else.
And there's someone just to the left of you.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is the other question that's a follow-up that I love. So, what do you care about? Okay, but the other one is, what gives you hope?
Y- The hope for oneness is a big hope,
Mhm.
but because I personally have walked that journey up to some degree, from hopelessness to hope to healing. I know that it's possible. I know that it's possible really for our entire planet simply because I have been able to do it. And that gives me hope for everyone.
Well, I'm gonna dive in a little deeper. I'm not gonna let you
You
get
don't
off
like
that
that?
one. Okay, well, I love that one, but here's the thing, okay? So, Ashley over here helps people,
Yeah.
I mean, in a very dramatic way,
Yes.
and the thing that I look at is, life's never boring. We all have stuff that happens, okay? You've had more stuff than most, but the thing that I really appreciate about you is that you don't play the victim card.
Mm,
You play the survivor card.
mm. I used to play the victim card. And I think that's why I stayed in a domestic violence situation, Doug, for 28 years, is because I did play that victim card. And at least 25 of those years, I was a victim. Even though I didn't, like many people who are in that situation, I didn't tell people. I hid it. I was so embarrassed, so ashamed that I was even allowing myself to be this in this situation. But as you begin to lift and hold your head up and not focus outward, but focus inward, that's when the healing starts. When I realized this really doesn't have anything to do with anyone out there and what they're doing to me. This only has to do with what I'm choosing and what I'm allowing and what I'm seeing. And that started me on the path of healing and hope. And now I don't just see myself as a survivor. I do, but I see myself as a thriver. That I've taken that situation and those things that seemed like, "Oh, poor me, the ultimate struggle," and turned them into the strengths that they were for me. I am the person I am today because I've passed through those things. And as much as I think, "Oh, I wish I hadn't have had that in my life," I'm actually full of gratitude.
Yeah. Well, it is one of those things that you have kind of a refining fire.
Yeah.
So now, Ashley, you work with people that are survivors. Tell me a little bit more about your program.
Yeah. So our mission at the Refuge Utah is to empower survivors of sexual assault and domestic violence because it's really about them. They've been through maybe a situation where their power and control has been taken away, and we want to give that back. We want them to be able to realize all the things that are possible for them and help them make those decisions, and we can help support them along the way for them to be able to regain that control in their life.
And this one's kind of addressed to both of you. So, and you guys kind of pick between yourselves, and maybe both of you do this, but how do you help people recognize and, I guess, for lack of a better term, be believed so that they can take the next step?
Ashley and the Refuge have these stickers that they give out, and all of my water bottles are covered with them. And they say, "Utah believes survivors."
Wow.
And I think that that's such a great piece that you put out. You're going to be believed.
I mean, that's, I think, the crux of everything. I mean, that's where it all starts.
Yeah.
So now you've been believed. And okay, you recognize that this is not a healthy place, but oh boy, yeah, that's really hard to take that step off that cliff because you don't know what's going to happen. Where do you go? What do you do?
That's where we have 24-hour hotlines, right? Where advocates are on call at any time of the day that they can just talk through those situations. Because it's hard to know what if I take that next step, what is there, right? What am I going to find there? What's the next place that I can go to? And advocates can just help walk them through knowing what are some of the possibilities, what are some of the choices that they can look at and some of the things that are available to them so that they can make a more informed choice and they can really decide where they want to go on the path next.
And see, that's where I love, and this is you, and I've talked about this a lot before, Mary, but what you care about is one part, but what gives you hope? That gives me hope.
Yeah.
The refuge. The fact that, I mean, look, just think about what's the word refuge mean? In fact, I'll ask you, what does the word refuge mean to you?
A safe place. A safe place. And I think back when the refuge first started, when the shelter was put in place, it was just that. It was a shelter. And you could come for emergency, and then you had to make some decisions and be on your way. But now the programs that you offer are changing lives. That you have advocates there that help them with so many things. It's not just a temporary place that they can come and land while they move on to set up a different life. I think that is those aren't the steps.
Mm.
And the programs that you offer, I would love to have you tell Doug of all the different programs. Well, not all of them, but at least some of the highlight ones that really are making a difference in those lives of giving them hope.
So in additional to just that emergency shelter, we offer transitional housing. So it's a little bit of a longer term stay, right? If that's something that they're needing, or help with rental assistance. Because when you're moving into a new place, you have that first and last month's rent and a security deposit, which in an emergency, you haven't saved up for that, right?
Yeah.
Helping with some of those basic needs. We have our therapy services. So both group and individual therapy to help work through that crisis and get some emotional healing and some stability there. We have our educational support groups. So anyone can come at any time and just learn more about sexual assault and domestic violence and either how to help support themselves or maybe a loved one that they might see that's going through a situation and how can I best help support them. We have our advocates that are on call not only on our hotlines, but they're also available to go out to the hospital to those that are going through a forensic medical exam from a sexual assault and just give them information, be there with them, talk through what does that look like and what happens next. What are some additional resources? What are the next steps and things that they can choose to move on to next?
Well, I will say the two things, and yes, this is a topic that I care about, to answer my own question. And what gives me hope is people like you. People that are willing to talk about it because, when I was a kid and my family was experiencing this, it was not, it wasn't even talked about. It wasn't even recognized. So to be able to say, I believe, number one. But the other thing that I love in a conversation you and I had before was the fact of helping with the therapy to realize that these things that are happening to you are not your fault. There are people there to help you. There are people there to give you refuge.
The story of the refuge for me is a story come full circle. I graduated in social work, and my first job was for the Division of Family Services. Now, I'm 71, so we're talking this is a long time ago. But there were not any shelters available, what we called battered women back then. And so, with a friend of mine at work at the Division of Family Services, the two of us started the very first battered women's shelter in Utah County. We were in the basement of a nursing home with a donated iron bed, and we didn't even have room for a crib, so we put a cradle in there.
Mm.
And we were there for about 2 years. I left that program, and shortly after that, they started and then were able to rent this duplex where they're still at today, now some 40 years later. And that's why we're in the middle of this capital campaign is think how much the need has grown. Think of the hundreds of additional services that they're now offering. When I went there, Doug, and started that shelter, little did I know that 7 years later, I would be there, that I would be seeking refuge, that the questions I would say to those women all the time, like, "What's the matter with you? You were hit. You leave. What is that?" It was black or white for me. But now I understood the shades of gray. And for me to come back full circle as I developed my interests in nonprofits and healing the world, this was one of the places that had my heart. And so why would I not serve here?
Well, it's the power of stories,
Yeah.
because I've been in this business a long time and words matter, but the other thing that I look at is to be able to help people because they don't know what they don't know. And the facts of, I mean, yeah, I remember you and I talking about the little cot. Okay. Now you've got a full-blown facility where people can stay, short term and even long term. You even have access that you're going to be able to help people if they've got pets. You can help, connect them with a group that does that. There's all these things to be able to make sure that people are believed, to make sure that people know that there is help.
Mhm.
So thank you very much for what you guys do. Where do people get more information about what you do and also to see this and to be able to help share it and be able to make sure that people out there know that there is hope?
Yeah, absolutely. They can visit us at therefugeutah.org.
Okay, and your hotline numbers?
It's 801-377-5500 for domestic violence and 801-356-2511 for sexual assault.
Thank you so much for coming on Family Heritage Stories and giving us some hope.
Thank you.
With another episode of Family Heritage Stories, I'm Doug Jessup. We'll be right back.